Thanks everybody for joining us. My name is Qasim Rafi. I will be the presenter of today's webinar. Today's webinar will be kind of a series of or a cadence of webinars going forward as well. So with every new ITRAK 365 release, we hope to send out that support blast that will showcase all those new features and have those webinar files as well for people to quickly jump in prior to their own environment's upgrade to see what's been going on in the iTrack 365 side. So today we'll be discussing the new update as well as the new assets module. We'll also be talking a bit about 424, and we'll talk about some of the other new enhancements and modules that came with 424 and 425. Those will be brief overviews. And then we do hope to do an asset overview as well as an asset demo. During this talk, I do have Will with me. He's the other guy with the camera on. He's our support rep, AI guy, developer. We're a small company here, so we all wear hats. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat while I'm going on, or feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt me as you will. I also do have a tendency to talk faster. It's been a while since I've done a webinar, so if you'd like me to slow down and repeat myself, no offense taken. I'm here for you guys, not for myself. We also have Sal in the chat with us as well. He's one of our EHS consultants. If you have any questions, maybe focus more on the HSC side. So we'll definitely be able to give some insights there. Right. And again, my name is Qasim Rafi. I'm the data reporting specialist as well as the customer support representative. So just a couple quick things about what's going on with our system. As some of you may know, if you have older versions of the system, I know we have a mix of clients here. Some have been with us for multiple years now, while others have just been onboarded this year or the previous year. We've had a scheduled inspection, scheduled events module in our system for a while. Our development team has actually revamped this whole system and kind of made it look more like a Outlook appointment in terms of scheduling becomes easier. Assigning it to people is easier. And previously with our old system, you wouldn't see an event until it has come into time. But now on the right-hand side, you can see all of the events will be scheduled, which makes it easier for reporting. You'll start to see more color-coded event statuses with mobile. And the one thing that's really cool and ideally will be being rolled out across the newer versions of the system as well is the ability to actually have views within the portal dashboard. I know that's been a big request from a lot of our clients. Right now, it's just set to that one grid, but ideally with mobile and portal, we'll start having views there in those dashboard pages. And these can all be customizable, like you would customize any view. During this presentation as well, my coworker will be sending out some more webinar invites. You guys will have them in the release out announcement blast that I have sent out, but we'll talk more about event occurrences next Tuesday, July 11th. And at the same time, 11 a.m. MST. The next thing that again was kind of covered in that announcement blast is we have some new action statuses and some new fields, as well as we have a new injury classification. So previously we've only had implement actions. You were only able to pause the form for one status to allow people to complete their actions or complete their form tasks. Now we have a second action status called review actions. And the second cool feature is we actually have multiple action grids on one form type. So what one of our consultants have already worked with a client on is they've created the actions grid, then they've had a data integrity grid, and then they've had actually an NCR grid as well. So while you can break up your actions using these different grids, you can actually break them up using action type as well, which is a new field. And we'll get more into that next week on Thursday at 11 a.m. And then we'll talk more about the injury classification there as well. So these are kind of the new changes that are in the system. Now, we do have our new asset module. I think everyone here is excited to see this. This module will replace the current equipment facility vehicle tables in the ITRAK system. However, your current equipment facilities and vehicles will not be removed, and they will maintain current functionality. So it's kind of the next upgrade to it, but you'll upgrade at your own pace, and upgrading to 425 will not hinder your performance in any way. The new module allows you to maintain different asset types all in one table. So previously you used to have the equipment table and the vehicle table and the facility table, and that would, be a headache for reporting. you'd have to look around for different records. But this module comes with 10 out-of-box asset types, so vehicles, facilities, pad, battery, rig, and it also allows you to customize the records or the fields to record-specific asset data type. So as an example, let's say you have a crane, you wanted to create a field that records the height of that crane. You could actually just create a little text column or a number column within the form that will actually record that. So internally as well, we're actually using our asset module to track our surfaces, right? We have a lot of devices moving around hands as people get onboarded. So we're using the asset module to track that with those customized fields. And the new module allows you to record 5 specific assets on a form. So we'll have form type field options, asset 1 through 5, as well as the asset list similar to the current equipment asset, or the current equipment list, sorry. Okay. So for today's demo, we'll go over the following. So I'll just quickly show you those form type fields, assets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and asset lists. I will be selecting an asset field in the ITRAK 365 portal. So I'll show you how that looks in the front end as well. We're going to be creating an asset within the Microsoft Dynamics 365 interface, and then we'll be creating a custom field within Maker Power Apps portal. This last one, depending on how much time, I'll go into a bit more detail or less detail. It can be a bit technical, so it might just be a high-level overview. But if you guys, have any questions with this, obviously feel free to reach out to support, and I can help as needed. So before we get into the demo, is there any questions that anybody want to quickly ask? Or is there anything specific anybody would want to see? Alrighty. So, as everyone's familiar with the system, for the most part, I'm in our form types area here. So I've created a form type called 425 new additions. From there, I've created a form type section called ITRAK 365 assets. And you can see here that we have our assets 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as our user-defined asset list like I discussed. So to create these form type field options would be the same way you've created any other field options in the past. You'll quickly look for your field option here. You can see asset 1 wasn't selected. You can make it required, just like you would with any other field, whether it's an employee field, a yes/no field, or a text field. You can set the width. A really cool feature that we have now with the system is you can actually filter based on other assets as well. So if asset 1 is the parent asset, then you can filter asset 2 based on asset 1 or vice versa. So you're actually able to break down how many options your employees or operators will have to select from. You can also default the field if required. So when we get into events and when we get into these scheduled inspections, we will use this asset field picker to begin to create those scheduled inspections on those events as well. What's cool about that is because there's 5 base asset fields, you can actually have 1 inspection for 5 assets if you'd like. You can allow a quick view form, and this will just show you information of the asset there as well as a quick create form, and then there's the view as usual, right? So all of these are just standard ITRAK 365 form type fields, as if you would add a employee field or a text field, right? So I'll have the quick view show as well. So I'll just hit save. So now if I open up this form that we have for the 425 new additions, you can see here that assets 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all different asset types. So I have crane in the first one, but I have a vehicle in the third one. So even though there's previously used to be equipment, facilities, and vehicles, all the assets will live on that same type of record. What else is cool about this is that quick view form, like we spoke about, will show you details if there are any of this asset. So things like you can set this quick view form to anything you'd like. It is customizable, and we're actually turning on two-way sync for next release. So actually, when you're on mobile and you select an asset, you can actually hit this little eye icon and see these details on mobile as well. which wasn't a feature previously, right? And depending on which asset you choose, this data will look different, right? But as you open up the asset picker, again, just like you would an employee field, just like you would a checkbox, you'll just see your list of assets here, right? Same idea with the user-defined asset list. You can filter by parent asset type, right? So if I filter by, what's a good one? Let's say crane, right? You can filter by your parent asset type, that's a crane. This is demo data, so it's going to be hard to show that, but if you hit show all, you'll see which type of assets beside you, as well as which asset you have there as well. I'll just zoom in a little bit to make it clearer. Right. And then just like an employee list or an equipment list, you can select what you need and hit OK when you're ready. What's also cool about this asset list, and we'll get more into that on next week's webinar, is when it comes to scheduled inspections. Let's say you have, again, multiple assets on that one scheduled inspection, you can have that defaulted. So when your user goes and selects an event and they say they're doing the monthly facility inspection, and you've dictated every asset that's in that facility, they will all come pre-populated when that user opens up the event occurrence. So they don't have to go in and select every asset every single time. Okay. And the final thing about this, which is really nice, as some of you know with Advanced Find, it does get a bit tricky when you're looking deeper into child records. All of these records will live on that main form page. So if you're doing any advanced find or any simple views in the backend, it does get really easy to export as it is just that simple asset picker. Okay. So that's what that new asset module will look like for your operators. As we go into our asset types, they might look a bit different from what they used to look like. So now we have a new area within the Dynamics 365 section called assets. Previously, it was under operations. You'd have your equipment types, facilities types, and vehicles. Now it's under assets. From asset types, if we hit new asset type, we can name this whatever we'd like. So I'm just going to say PC because I'm not too operationally smart. And then our asset types can all be here. So actually, let's change this to vehicle. All right. So if the name of the asset type is a vehicle, we select the system asset type as vehicle. We can also give it a prefix so that all the asset numbers of the vehicle asset type will have a prefix for us to filter by. Okay. The next thing we can do, and I'm just going to go a bit quick through this, is if I open it once more, and then we name this custom. Again, as I mentioned, we have a custom system asset type, and this custom system asset type will actually allow you to create separate fields and allow you to record different types of data compared to vehicle, compared to facility, compared to pad, and so on. Right. So as we hit save and close here, it'll create that custom system asset type. And then we have our list of asset types here, right? Vehicle, custom, corporate trucks, and so on. So now corporate trucks and vehicle might all be under that same vehicle system asset type, but they'll be named differently and shown differently on the portal. So here we have a list of our assets. So from here, let's say I opened up my, what's a good one here? Let's create a new one actually. Good. We're going to give it the good old Ford F-150. And once we select the asset type vehicle, at the very top, you can see here vehicle was selected. What's nice about that is you're going to be able to, make, model, year, VIN, and so on that are specific to the vehicle. As I mentioned, these fields will be brought up right away. You can also add fields to this if it's not robust enough, if you wanted to add more fields to record your data on. But the idea is, depending on which asset type you choose, so if I choose custom, right, a generic details tab opens up, which is really nice to allow you, again, to record everything in that one location, right? So I'll keep this a vehicle, parent asset. Just choose truck, right? You can give it an asset number if you have one. You can assign it to a user, so I'll assign this one to Sal. You can link it to a foreign business unit, GPS, description, comments, search terms, and so on. Future down the line with releases, we do want to create some sort of, I believe it's called geofencing. So the idea would be once your user goes out on site and they say, hey, I'm here for the day, everything within this latitude and longitude would show you all of your assets, kind of featured on your mobile app right there. And then as we start putting more and more development time into our system, we can start doing things like this one needs certification, this one has an outstanding event, and so on, to allow your operators to understand what's going on, whether it's on site or whether it's during the day-to-day operations, right? So as I mentioned here, as you go through your field, right, 2020, and then VIN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, right? But these fields are all specific to that vehicle. You can also add attachments. So if I just hit save, you can also add attachments to this. So if I go new asset attachment, you can see here we have a file, an image, or a URL. So if I go URL, it gives me a little picker. Just go .com. And what's really nice about this is that let's say you have any certifications you want to put on this asset, any documentation, any operational documentation, whatever it may be, you can actually link it straight to the asset. And as I kind of showed, you can do it with a file, an image, or a URL. And then there might be some actions associated to that asset as well. And you can see these are form tasks. It's kind of that one-stop shop for what's going on with this asset. As you open it, you'll see a list of form tasks regarding that action as well. And then also recurring appointments. That's our new scheduled inspections. You'll just see everything related to your actions here. You can also add an image of your asset if you wanted to, and just upload that image there as well. Okay. Now, if I go into Crane, we kind of spoke about this. You can see here I have a new custom field called Crane. So previously I set it to custom and it was set to details. But what's cool about our system now is we created something called Crane. So you can see here, it's still a custom asset type, but it has its own section called Crane. You can see here, crane manufacturer, crane height and feet, crane weight in kilograms. So again, those custom fields that we're talking about actually live in its own specific tab, separate from everything else. Yeah. And if I jump into the Power Apps portal, and again, I'll go a bit high level here, but we'll do a couple things. So if I go into forms here, or sorry, if I go into columns here, this will be a list of your tables, right? You can see all of our tables, such as acquisition date, barcode, all this custom stuff that I've created here with crane length, the make model of your car, right? Whether it's custom or out of box, everything again lives in that same table. So it's really easy and really simple to do. For the first couple of times, I do recommend doing it with support or consultants because there's some solutions and there are some best practices to it. But it is very simple in the sense that you go new column. I can go diameter of wheel, for example, if I really wanted to. You can select the data type. You can select whether it's going to be what kind of format it's going to be. So if I wanted to choose a number, is it language code, time zone, duration, right? And then once you're finished, all you have to do is hit save, and that column then becomes selectable. I'm not going to do it because I'm in the default solution, but that's really just that simple. And what's nice about this is because we're on Microsoft's Power Apps portal, a lot of this documentation is already written for you with Microsoft Learn. So if you just Google how to create a new column in the Power Apps portal, you'll see the exact same UI here, all written out through Microsoft in that little Microsoft Docs, Microsoft Learn. So I'll quickly close that. Now, if we go back,
sorry to interrupt you, Dirk. Just a quick commentary on that. Like, we generally upgrade your test environment first, so you will be able to play around with this test before production, if you feel like you don't need support from us or anything. That's the advantage. This is really cool stuff.
yeah, I think so. Um, Yeah, so then the last thing we would do then is if we go into forms here, you can see here's a list of our forms. So that quick view form that I showed you back in the portal, so this little text over here, again, this is customizable that same way. So if I open up the quick view form, it'll tell us what's the asset, what's the name, asset type, system asset number, and asset number. If these fields contain data, they will show up in the portal. And this is customizable in the sense that you can quickly drag and drop. They've been going too fast. Then you can drag and drop your field into the quick view form. So abandon date can go there. And now this will actually show up in the portal. And again, once we enable two-way sync within mobile and portal, you'll be able to customize that as much as you really want to allow your operators to see what they want to see. And we will have a whole webinar next release on that two-way sync functionality, as our asset module will be getting another enhancement in the 426 release. So I'll quickly leave this page. So I just went back into assets, opened up our main form here. Sorry about the little jump, but going back took me to the wrong area. But the idea is as you start customizing your form, you can see here we have the details tab, our vehicle tab, facility tab, and so on. And we have our crane tab that I created custom. So if I actually unhide this for a second, you can see that that crane tab lives on the very top, right? From the crane tab, what you'll have to do when you're creating this, and we have documentation on this, I believe I sent it out with the email announcement. But the idea is if you name this second part after tab toggle to what your asset type name is, it will be able to actually toggle when you select a custom asset type. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to create multiple customs, not just crane, right? And have those toggles and show hides based on the asset type name, not on anything else. So it makes it really flexible on what you want to do. If you're an obscure provider of game controllers, for example, and you had different asset types, you're not limited to kind of industry specific asset types. You're able to create what you want as custom, and you're able to create those fields as you would as well. So I'm going to go back and just quickly hide this. But as we go into the crane details area, we can see my three fields here, right? If I wanted to add anything, and actually just click the form here, again, it's just that simple drag and drop. So I wanted to add currency to this, which is just a lookup. I drag and drop it. Might take a second to show up, but there we go. And again, you can create these table columns from here. As Sal mentioned, it will all be in your test environment. Production won't be affected. But this Power Apps portal is going to be the future of our ITRAK 365 system, as we're just taking what Microsoft is giving us, taking the benefits of Microsoft, and really enhancing our system with these tools, right? Again, it's simple once you understand it. I guess it's the best way to put it. And then as you get to play with it more and be comfortable with the system a lot more, or even if you have your own Power Apps developers in-house, you can do a lot with this tool. We're going to be releasing a Power BI data model and report set regarding the new asset system alongside the release as well. Obviously, it does take a little bit of time for clients to roll out something this big in a module like this. But the idea would be once you have your asset module up and ready, that Power BI will also be there to help you report even on these custom fields or even on the out-of-box fields, as it has that power to do so. Right. Feel free to reach out to support. Will has, I believe, posted those ICS files in the chat. I do hope to see everybody next Tuesday and next Thursday. But if there's any questions, I don't have a hard stop, so I'm able to answer anything.
Just one quick note for the recording. For some reason, I can't add attachments to the chat, so I'll just send out an email with the ICS files to the attendee list after.
Perfect. Thanks, Will. Okay. I'll take the mute icons, as that was a perfect webinar and everything was explained perfectly. I do appreciate everyone's attendance. And again, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to your lead consultant or support@itrak365.com. Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.